Hey, man.
Getting a little tired over there, huh, Matt?
A little bit. You ready?
Kick it.
Welcome to Hardheaded Podcast, brought to you by Admiral's Bennett Beard Oil, admiralsbennett.com. Today, we have Matt Amos, Troy, Three-Shot Trussell, and I am Chet Sears. We are so happy that you're taking time out of your day to hear what we have to say. And I believe Matt is going to tell us what's on his mind today.
Oh, maybe. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
It's going to be good.
So we alluded to it previously where you tried to sabotage me on my good word.
I kind of saw where you were headed, and I was helping you get there, and you're like, no.
So what's on my mind is the political division that we currently have, and how do we overcome it? And so my good word, I was challenging our representatives and leaders in our communities to act like leaders and not children, and throwing stones back and forth at each other. And when we find something that we can unite on, you need to be that leader and unite on that topic and bring people together instead of being divisive.
And I was in full agreement with you. And I said, I think we should be doing that as well.
So,
and then you said, ah!
stop it, because that's what's on my mind. And so for 2021, like I've been talking about, my whole goal is has been to be more positive. And I've come up with some ideas. I don't know if any of them will work or not. I have no idea, but it's worth a shot, right?
You run a little experiment and see if it does.
Why can't we just try?
Yeah.
So I've been listening to people that I disagree with pretty much fundamentally on everything, and not arguing with them, but trying to understand where they're coming from, and attempting to relate on topics that we can agree on.
Okay.
So whether it be, again, going back to the Wall Street deal that happened, I think we can all agree that, hey, they got caught with their pants down. I think it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
But everybody pretty much agrees on that, right? Because it's only the 0.1% that don't.
Right.
So 99.9% of everybody else is like, hey, you shouldn't have been doing that. You got caught. And now some people are making some pretty good money on it.
Or you've been doing that and have made a whole lot of money on it, but you're not going to win every one of them. Yeah.
You lost this one.
Yeah.
And, but so what I've been doing is I've been trying to seek out those people that I know that I disagree with, and just simply starting a conversation. And it's been difficult because a lot of people are guarded. As soon as I ask a question, they automatically turn legalistic on me instead of having a conversation. They're like, oh, well, we need to get back. If we're going to have a conversation about this, we need to get the facts.
Right.
I'm like, I don't need the facts. I want to know what you think.
Right.
I don't want to know what a fact says just because it says it's a fact. I want to know what you actually think.
Yeah.
So, for example, there was somebody that was talking about healthcare, and they think that healthcare should be provided for everybody and it should be paid for, basically. And so I said, okay, let's talk about that. And I said, in an attempt to try to agree with them, I said, well, I'm in the VA system, which is basically socialized healthcare, and it's a test run for what it would look like in our communities. And I said, I really appreciated, President Trump and what he did with the Veterans Choice Act. And then it became all of a sudden,
it's a Trump thing now,
legalistic. And it was, well, Obama set that up back in blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, you're right. I apologize. It was the Veterans Choice Improvement Act, or whatever it's called, right?
Yeah.
Big deal. I don't care about the facts. I just want to know what you think.
Yeah.
Right. And so it started off like it was whatever. Right. And I just, okay, well, want to know what you think. And then he told me all the problems that our current system has, from insurance to the price of medicine to availability of doctors and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, okay, you've given me the problems. What are your solutions?
Mm-hmm.
Like, in the Marine Corps, it was if somebody came to me with a problem, well, great, you've identified the problem, identify a solution, and then present that solution to me so I can decide whether that's the best route to go or not.
Right.
So don't just come at me with a problem. Let's come with solutions. And that conversation ended with, well, I think we should just do it like Scotland. That's okay.
How does Scotland do it?
How do they do it?
Yeah.
Right. It's not, tell me how you think we could implement this into our system to make our system better.
Right.
Because I think we should always be looking to improve. And I think the only way that we're going to do that is by working together. And so I've been twirling around the idea of starting like a Facebook group, even though I
don't like Facebook.
I don't like Facebook. But I'm twirling around the idea of starting a group called Adopt a Rival, and where you just, hey, you want to sign up. And then when you sign in and introduce yourself, I'm this, and this. And then I can pair you with somebody who is the exact opposite of that. And let's be civil. Let's talk nice and have a actual discussion, not a fact checking session, not a blame session, but let's just have a conversation like we would in person.
Right.
Because if we're having a conversation, I'm not going to pull out my phone and fact check you right there. And that's what people do online. They're like, oh, well, this, and this. I'm like, look, I don't care about that. I just want to know what you think. Let's have a conversation. Let's not turn this into, oh, I'm right and you're wrong.
So, but I mean, if you're going to call it Adopt a Rival, the rivals have poor behavior against each other. So maybe you need to call it like Adopt a person who's willing to have an opposing point of view.
That's too long.
That would
That's too
be
long.
open to listening or what your opinion is and still be friends.
See, I think
is that an acronym? What does that spell?
I don't know. Stupid. But
I disagree with you on this, and I would like to talk about it.
Let's talk about this reasonably.
Match me with you and your rival website, please.
I will. And so, beyond that, and I was like, okay, well, online, because even though I'm trying to have these honest discussions and be nice and not get in an argument when it would be so easy to, because some of the comments that I've gotten, have been just, are you kidding me? Like, I'm literally just trying to have a discussion with you right now. And I'm thinking this, but I'm not typing it, right? Because I'm trying to be nice and I'm trying to stay positive. And I've gone as far as like, okay, this isn't going to work. So I've instituted coffee and a donut.
Mm-hmm.
So if we have a difference of opinions, and I've done it to a couple of people, and I've just said, hey, look, you're not getting what I'm saying because you can't read the tone of my voice. You can't read the inflections that I'm making through text. And this is just going to go bad. So why don't we just meet for coffee and a donut and talk about these things? And so far, out of the two people that I've done it to so far, only one of them has said, yes, let's do it. But then they put restrictions on it. Like, you need to, if we're going to do this, then you need to have your vaccines and you need to wear a mask and blah, 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 blah. So basically setting it up so that like, they're going to think that I'm going to back out.
Yeah.
Right. And so I said, you know what? I said, I don't see myself getting the vaccine in the foreseeable future. I would like them to have a little bit more longevity and see what the effects are going to be, just for me personally. That's how I think about it.
I don't know. I don't know about you. If I wanted the vaccine, I can't go get it right now. Like, it's not even available, right, for younger people that are not at risk. So.
Yeah. And so I just said, well, I don't see that happening in the near future. I said, but I've already had the virus, so I have.
If you're sitting down though in a restaurant, the virus isn't there.
Well,
it's only when you're standing up and walking around a restaurant.
Well, and I did bring that up. I said, because it's going to be kind of, it's going to be kind of hard for me to eat my donut and drink my coffee and talk to you if I have a mask on.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm taking us down a path that we don't need to go.
So I was like, but I am willing to meet. And I was like, if those are your requirements, then, and they're not.
Meet me in the middle, right? Mask. Well, I'll do that. I'm not going to go get a shot.
I've gone as far as to say, you know what, if that's not conducive to the conversation, or you don't want to meet because you're afraid of the virus or whatever, or you're just trying to not meet me because what you have to say in person might not be the bravado that you've put online, then I said, I will do this with you digitally.
Yeah, FaceTime or Zoom call.
Let's do a Zoom.
Dude, he hates Zoom calls.
And I hate that. But I'm willing to do that to start bridging gaps, right?
Yeah.
Because I think that there's more things that we can agree on than we can disagree on. And like I said before, in a good word, I think was, with these leaders where there was an olive branch opportunity and it was blown out of the water just immediately. Like we had this chance to work together on something small. So let's talk about the small stuff. When I sit down with you, I'm not going to automatically get into, well, hey, what do you think about gun control?
Yeah.
I'm not going to go, oh, what do you think about abortion?
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about, hey, where'd you grow up?
Yeah.
What did you do? What do you do for a living? How did you get to that point? Let's get to know each other, because it's a lot harder to hate somebody that you know.
Yeah.
And talk about those things in a rational discussion, like we're sitting here talking. We may disagree about things, but we're not saying,
right.
Well, Chet, do you have your vaccines? Why are you not wearing a mask?
Well, I'll tell you, there's and I think the key, and it's really hard to be in a position that you're willing to openly listen to somebody that you know has a different point of view than you in a way that's genuine enough to feel that they can be heard. Right. I had the opportunity, actually it's been a couple of years now, the Kansas Leadership Center, fantastic organization. They do a magazine, with some local Kansas journalists that do some really neat things, but the whole, release of the upcoming magazine, I think it comes out quarterly, was all on gun violence. And, normally when I hear gun violence, I immediately, if it's somebody that probably doesn't agree with me, I hear gun control when somebody says gun violence. But they did a really good job of distinguishing, hey, we're not talking about gun control, we're talking about gun violence. And, if you look at it, nope, gun violence is something that none of us are okay with, right? We're just not cool with that. And I happened to sit down, and it's just random seating in there, but they had us break out into groups with who you're sitting near. Somebody that was in a big organization that was about gun control, the words that they were using. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be interesting. Well, in our answering our questions, I found that this was a mom who had lost a kid to actually like a cousin or a nephew or something picking up a loaded gun that wasn't stored properly in the home, and accident and tragedy. And I'm looking at that thinking, I don't want that to happen ever. Right. Like I'm on a different side of the spectrum of the quote unquote gun control debate, but I'm with you on this. Like, what can we do? We need to be doing something to educate people about how many times does this happen? Like, are we nonchalantly leaving loading weapons around our house? I mean, this is not, I don't necessarily think we need to just eliminate the guns from being owned, but this is that kid shouldn't have lost their life. Like, what are we doing? And I know, well, the law is that a gun manufacturer has to put a gun lock with every sale, and I'm thinking I've never used one. Like, I literally just was cleaning up my dresser. I've got like a junk drawer in there, and I'm like, I've got like 6 of these laying around, and I'm just going to toss them because they're not easy to use or whatever. But then I'm thinking, because I have a gun safe, I'm going to lock every one of them up, and nobody can have access to them, let alone just hold it with just some lock on the trigger kind of thing. But then at the same time, she wasn't that educated on how a gun owner handles their weapons in their home, where they store them, what are some of the uses of, shotguns for duck season and whatever else. And I was thinking, just in 5 minutes of talking, she learned a whole lot more about usages, because she's like anti-gun, not around them, nothing. But then had somebody that's like, you know what? I think that the reason that you got into this whole political sphere is a tragedy and should never happen again. I agree with you. Now, let me tell you how there's some good ways of handling weapons in the home. I have some, and this is how I do things. And then we started talking through some of that kind of stuff in just a brief time. She was willing to listen. I was willing to listen. We agreed violence is bad. Accidental violence is bad. Right. And we actually got to a pretty interesting point. And then I learned, more than likely everybody that's that engaged in a gun control debate is probably coming from a decent starting point that is legitimate, right? She had a tragedy strike her family, and now she's trying to get some engagement around preventing that from happening again in the future. I can get behind that. Maybe we could come to a conclusion that other people would not extreme on one way or the other, right? And I think that's very valuable. And there are very few organizations or individuals that are willing. We don't even know how to do it, right?
It's rare.
We don't know how to sit down and talk about, all right, we disagree on a lot of stuff, but let's try to find a common ground here and move in that direction.
Yeah. And it, like you said, when you were stomping on what's on my mind, is it starts with us. Yeah. Right. So the more that we get together and talk these issues out and say, hey, this is what I feel is important. And then you listen to the other person and listen to what they feel is important. And kind of the role that I'm taking right now is I'm just asking questions. Yeah. I don't want to impart anything that I believe into what I'm learning. I just want to know what this person thinks and how they arrived at those conclusions. And to make sure, because then it's challenging that person too. Maybe they're going to go back and think, well, maybe I really could do some more research on this, or at least not what they've been fed. Yeah. And I think the more that we do that, the more that we come together, we're going to start electing people that are more like that, instead of what we have right now is you've got people extreme left, extreme right, and there's like 4 issues that get people elected, and it's not the thousands beneath them that actually truly really matter. Yeah. And I think if we start working those small issues and throw in a big one every now and again, once we're more united, I think that it would work better. And then we could challenge our leaders. Hey, I don't want you acting like that because I don't act like that. Mm-hmm. And we're electing people, and it's a cycle. And I don't know how many people that have commented on something that I've posted, about the, whether it be the election and the Republicans are never going to win another election because whatever, the Democrats cheated or, what I was like, it doesn't matter. I was like, if we come together as a people and we elect the people that are most like us, instead of somebody that fits with me on this single issue and fits with us on multiple issues, I think we're going to be a lot further ahead than we are right now, and grow as a country and do, work towards that more perfect union.
I think you're right on. And I think that happens at a coffee table and not on the 6 o'clock news. We have to also understand that people are profiting off of our inability to get along. Yeah. They stoke it, and you're going to go to your camp so you can feel good about what you're hearing. And that division is creating a lot of money for some news organizations and for some social media platforms. It's very profitable. Yeah. Yep. And we're in that trap of, this is going to be beneficial. I'm going to tell everybody that doesn't agree with me to unfriend me. That's well, really, let's have some coffee. Let's sit down and talk about this and get along. And we're going to find that we're more common than we're different in a lot of areas.
And I will say on that, if I have deleted you on Facebook because of your views or something that you've posted, I'm more than willing to talk to you in person, but I just don't want to see that.
Well, it's the GIF that I posted that you didn't like how I pronounced it.
The GIF. But yeah, and I just, and it goes back to the Capitol on January 6th. I was like, because they were talking, the FBI had come out and said that, there's planned armed protest at all 50 capitals and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, nobody I know is talking about that. The other side's worried.
Yeah.
Because they think that, Trump voters or, your conservative or your alt-right, whatever they call it, are crazy. It's like, look, nobody I know is even mentioned that.
Right.
And I would consider myself part of that.
And I know some crazy folks.
And I do know some crazy people.
Yeah.
But none of them were on board with that. And so I was like, well, who's putting that out? The media.
Yeah.
Those reports come out all the time. They just chose then to release those reports in the media because those reports are all the time. Oh, there's this, and this. It's kind of like the intel we got in Afghanistan. Hey, look for a white Toyota.
Yeah.
It's carrying a bomb.
There are white Toyotas everywhere.
Which of these 50 million white yeah, good call. Yeah, there's probably one of those that does have one. I mean,
yeah.
But, so I just put it out there. I was like, hey, show up, practice your constitutional right for your First Amendment to have your voice heard. But I go, show up with a thermos full of coffee and a box of donuts. Find somebody that's on that opposite side.
Sit down.
And sit down and have a conversation.
Make sure they're gluten-free.
Gluten-free, whatever. It doesn't matter to me. Hey, or you just don't get a donut because, do they make gluten-free donuts?
I don't know. I've never asked.
I probably need to start on that because my stomach's been giving me issues.
If you shouldn't be eating gluten, you should probably not be eating donuts. I'm just saying.
You shut your mouth. I'll eat what I want. Because I definitely probably shouldn't be eating gluten.
Unfriend.
I just got unfriended.
Troy's gone. But I don't know. I've been looking at it and, it's difficult to be positive in the online world just because you can't read sarcasm. You can't read inflection. You can't read tone.
And you can't get smacked in the mouth if you step out of line.
Well, there's that too, but that goes against my goals for 2021.
Yeah.
But I think there's room for us to grow. I think there's a lot of things that we've really agreed on just as a country lately.
Yeah.
Within the past, month and a half that we can grow on. And let's take those small things, just like we talked about, with Troy's good word, setting small goals, small steps. Hey, let's just start by having a conversation. Mm-hmm. Let me hear what you think. I'll tell you what I think. We'll each go think about what we said. Let's meet again and talk about it again. And do our job as citizens to elect people that more closely reflect who we are, not the issues.
Yeah. I'm down with it, man.
I'm in.
Nice job.
That's what's been on my mind.
Cool. We're going to jump into our top 3 now. Top 3 charitable organizations. And Troy is going to lead us off with his top 3.
All right. Number 1 is United Way of the Plains.
All right.
They are a nonprofit organization here, and they take care of people through donations of people in the community. And they
have a broad reach and support a lot of different organizations.
Yeah. And they help people do things like do their taxes and help kids learn how to read. And they have a lot of different things you can come alongside them and do as well, other than just donating. Number 2 would have to be Ducks Unlimited, some wetland conservationists. And I think everyone knows we like to shoot ducks.
We do. Yeah. And we also used to volunteer for Ducks Unlimited.
That's correct.
Several years ago.
Yeah. We did it for 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Started up a chapter. So, yeah, that was fun. It was good. And then number 1 is an organization that started right here in Wichita, Kansas, and is growing statewide and looking to go nationwide, hopefully, in the not so distant future. But it's Firm Foundations Ministries is the organization, and what they do is they help people who have been incarcerated go through a program. They start behind the walls, going through a program, and then if they make it through those programs behind the walls, when they get released, they can apply for housing, and then they are put in a house that is run by a house manager that has been through the program. So it's kind of self-teaching. And those men help each other get back on their feet, become a respectable person in society, and all doing it through learning about the Bible and how to be a good man and a follower of Christ in that. And yeah.
Started by a good friend of ours, Matt Thomas.
Yes,
Yeah.
very, very good friend of mine. I actually worked for the ministry for 2 years, was I guess what you would call the general manager for the organization. Back then we had 3 houses, and I think now they have 5 or 6, and I think they do have a woman's house now.
Yeah.
So they're helping out the women as well coming out of prison. So really good organization. They also take donations. So we'll have
a link in the show comments.
Link in the show notes. Yeah, for sure.
Sweet.
You were a GM.
I didn't
That's what he calls it.
I didn't really have a title.
Oh, but so you just made it up. I got you. Okay.
I just made that up on the fly.
You got that in common with me. I've done that too.
Oh yeah.
Me 3.
Right on.
Intergalactic Director of Patient Relations.
That's he wanted that on his business card. All right, Matt.
Oh, you want me to go?
No, yeah, I do.
Okay. All right. So my top 3 charitable organizations are organizations that have impacted me personally. They're all going to be veteran service organizations, and in no particular order, because it would be hard to quantify what each of these groups has done for me.
Yeah.
So the first one that I'm going to mention is Wounded Warrior Outdoors. I've spoke about them in the past.
And back when we had Steve on.
Yep. And so, Steve now volunteers with them as well. Incredible organization, and does therapeutic outdoor adventures for warriors. And when a lot of people think hunting or whatever, I mean, they think killing, right? And so, I'm not gonna give to that organization or whatever because they kill animals or whatever. But the therapy that a person gets when they're on that trip, because the kill is the climax, right? I mean, it's all over pretty much after that,
Well, that's the goal of the whole outing. Right?
Actually, the goal of the outing is therapy.
Yeah.
So it's what you put into it, and challenging those warriors who may be on prosthetics or, have had some dark thoughts, getting them out and away from that and getting them back into a group of people who share where they've been, what they've been through. And the therapy that takes place there is absolutely incredible. And I've seen it legitimately change lives and save lives.
Yeah.
And all through introducing people to the outdoors, because, I mean, that's where you can totally just disconnect from, social media and your daily life and get away and be in a group of people that common interests, common experiences, and really heal together. And whether that's mental healing, physical healing, whatever it is, I mean, it can take place on these trips. And, I believe so strongly in that organization. I've been a volunteer for, since 2012, basically. Incredible organization. I hope to have Ron, who's the founder, on a podcast here in the near future. So hopefully in the next couple of months.
Well, and I'll tell you one of the neat things and through you working with them, but, was self-funded for a number of years, like not asking for donations, and people wanted to get so involved with it that they had to find a way for people to donate. So, I mean, you want to talk about a great score from how many dollars are donated actually goes to the mission.
And so, since I am so involved in this organization, I can tell you that 96 cents of every dollar goes directly back into the warriors. And then there's a 4% that we have to use insurance, and we can't say that insurance directly benefits the warriors. But when you're going out and hunting alligators in a 10-foot John boat with 4 dudes, and the possibility for that John boat to tip over and somebody get another appendage bit off, but that's where that 4% goes, is towards those fees for insurance and stuff like that. So, and that was what, Ron, when he started, he was extremely adamant, no paid no paid personnel whatsoever. Every single person that is with WWO is a volunteer.
Yeah.
And that just, the way that he ran it is what really spoke to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll look forward to having him on. The next one for me would be Homes for Our Troops. Again, another phenomenal nonprofit that provided me and my family with a mortgage-free home that was accessible for my injuries. And I definitely wouldn't be where I am today without them. And the amount of lives that they have changed, and the amount of guys that are out there who would qualify for this, loss of a limb, paralysis, whatever it might be. But my buddy, he's got a home being built by them right now. Well, he was injured back in 2011, and for years didn't think that he rated, because there were other people that were more severely injured than him, and he just refused to go seek out that organization. I was like, dude, they're there for you. That's what it's there for, man. And so, anybody listening to this that is a veteran that needs some help, seek out those resources, because that's what those organizations are there for, is to be there for you. So don't let your pride get in the way of progression.
Yeah. We talked about how much Matt hates Zoom calls, but his buddy at the house dedication zoomed in to give a little talk about how Homes for Our Troops is a neat organization.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, and incredible, and they're
more than willing to do something he doesn't like to support that group.
Yep, I did a Zoom call for him.
Yeah,
but totally worth it for that organization. And then number 3 is going to be Simplify Fund / America's Fund, and they were one of the first charities that I had involvement with when I was injured. They actually paid for my mom's, for my whole family, paid for their flight out to Virginia to be with me while I was at Walter Reed. My mom had to take off of work and to be there with me, and so they actually paid her salary while she was there with me, so that she wasn't losing money and didn't have to worry about finances being back at home. Took care of her. When I got out of the hospital, they provided us a wheelchair van, so we didn't have to worry about renting that or how I'm going to get to and from my appointments. They're like, take this and borrow it for as long as you need.
Yeah.
And just give it back when you're done. And, huge help, because
That's incredible.
Transferring for me at that time was extremely painful. So being able just to wheel up in my wheelchair into a wheelchair van, lock me down, get me to my appointment, kick me out.
Right.
Extremely beneficial. And then they've been there for whatever I would need. They're always there. And I'm trying to think of everything that they've done, because it's been so much that they've done for my family and I. So I'm deeply indebted to that organization. And again, they're in that, all 3 of these organizations are in that 90% and above efficiency rating range.
Yeah.
All very well managed, very well run. And you're getting a lot of bang for your buck when you give to these organizations.
Awesome. Well, my 3, in no particular order, Gallant Few. So very similar to Matt's, military focused charitable organizations. This is a really neat group that's very focused on transitioning that. So how do we get from military life to civilian life, and what's the healthiest way that we can do that, and how do we go about it? And so I've had opportunity to meet a couple of the guys that were in the program, and now that either work for them or volunteer with them, and it's just a really neat organization that my wife and I have gotten behind financially to help in certain times with a lot of their efforts. Another one outside of the military, Operation Underground Railroad. I don't know if you guys have ever heard about this, but there was a guy that was working for the government, U.S. government, to stop child trafficking, and was doing some training overseas to help other governments kind of understand and know. And I think he was in Colombia, and he's sitting up there, training, government training, right? I'm in a PowerPoint presentation in a classroom with a bunch of people. And so he's going through this stuff, and there were the people, the officers in the room were like, yeah, okay, let's go do this. Like, you're teaching us how. We have the people that we're supposed to. You say that we need to find the people that are this level in the organization and set this. Like, we can go do this right now. Like, we have those people. We know where they are. We know how to contact them. We can set up a sting and break this whole thing wide open. And naturally, calls to superiors, and they're like, hey, you can't do stuff like that. We're there to train. We're not there to. We want you to be in the classroom. You don't need to be out in the field. This is, so next thing you know, it's just really impressed on his heart that he could do more like doing than teaching, and quit and went back down there in his personal capacity and started breaking these child trafficking rings and set up this whole organization that does this, and really hit home. My wife and I have done, along with several of our friends, done quite a bit of missionary work in Haiti. And, Haiti's a pretty big trafficked country, and they've done some work specifically there. And that's really what caught my eye. But yeah, just an outstanding organization that's really going out there and doing some dirty work, finding these people that do some of the most despicable things that could ever be done, and blowing it wide open, and not only just shutting down that ring, they have a very extensive reintroduction program for those kids that have been through those traumatic experiences. There's a big recidivism rate, where some kids just go back to it because they don't know anything else, which is a tragedy. But they spend a whole lot of their efforts on the, what do we do with the kids now that we freed them, because that's a big issue as well. So just an outstanding organization overall, Operation Underground Railroad. And then I guess my top one, Habitat for Humanity, Wichita. Happened to serve on the board of directors there. And they really caught my attention. I come across their president in a few meetings at the Kansas Leadership Center, and we hit it off. And she was kind of talking about some of the stuff that they do. And I'll ask you this same question. Do you know how many houses they give away a year with Habitat for Humanity?
I do not.
Nope.
0. They don't give away houses. They literally provide a way for people to earn the opportunity to get a mortgage-free, or not a mortgage-free home, but a home that they can afford that doesn't have interest on their mortgage. So they have the opportunity to put some sweat equity in. They have to go through financial preparation classes and pass, so that they understand finances. They volunteer at the house that they're probably going to be buying, or somebody else's, or working at the Habitat Restore store, and put in all this effort, and then they go in. And so this is something that we also learned doing mission work in Haiti. If you're giving somebody something, there's not that much value to it, and there's not going to be there's a lot less opportunity to stick with it. I don't have this sweat equity that's in there. And so Habitat for Humanity, their model is that we don't give away things. We provide an opportunity to earn a home and pay on a mortgage for it. And then we work with banks to set up some things, but we also help with the financing, so there's not an additional kick in the pants from an interest rate perspective. But if you look into the statistics about family units and having a secure, safe place to live, it can change the trajectory of a family. And so it's a vital role that can be played in each community, just by helping with building homes. And so this one's a really neat one because you can volunteer. A lot of the ones that we've talked about are more donations or what's going to get there. Firm Foundations. I know my dad actually volunteered with them to be a mentor to one of the prisoners coming out. But you could just give a day, right, to Habitat. Show up with your coworkers and work on a job site for a day. Or you could, if you're a little too scared to get out, or it's, a little time of year in Kansas, I know, where those thunderstorms could pop up. You don't necessarily want to be out there working outside framing a house. You could donate a day's worth of wages in your place of being there. So what would it cost a construction worker to be there for a day and donate that or whatever. So just a fantastic organization that's really focused on helping people work hard to earn something and to stick with it. And Just down the street from our office, there's a place where they've called Rock the Block, but they basically have about 40 homes in one little neighborhood. And to see the neighbors that are next to these new homes being built, because it's a dilapidated lot that nobody's living there. So they work with the city to get the property, and they build something. But the house that was right next to that, next thing you know, they're painting their house and they're starting to keep up their yard. And you're starting to see the whole block, transition from a rundown neighborhood to a neighborhood that has pride in it. So it's really cool and a great organization overall.
That's awesome.
I like it.
And there's Habitat for Humanities all over the country, all over the world even. So, find your local one and do some volunteering. All right. Troy, you got a good word for us?
Yes. So it kind of goes back to what we were talking about with what was on your mind.
We're circling back.
Back a little bit. And so there's a proverb that says the tongue has the power of life and death. In another verse, it says, keep your tongue from evil and your lips from speaking deceit. Turn away from evil and do good. Seek peace and pursue it. And if we could all do a little bit of that, maybe we could go have coffee and donuts with each other without hurting each other with our words.
Seeking peace as opposed to a political win.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Which what chapter and verse?
Psalms 34, 13 and 14 is the keep your tongue from evil and your lips from speaking deceit. I'm not sure what the proverb was.
Put that in the show notes for us.
I will do that for you.
Awesome. Thank you.
You are welcome.
Thank you,
Anything
Troy.
for you, Mr. Sears.
It's awesome, man.
Right.
I like how you did circle back.
It's good stuff.
Talk about what's on my mind.
Hooking
There's
you
a
up.
lot of continuity. A lot of continuity out there.
We're starting the foundation of peace.
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah. Well, you're going to have to refriend me back on all the social media sites.
No, I just unfriended Troy
Oh, okay.
for whatever comment he made. I don't remember.
Let's go have some coffee and donuts and talk about it.
Well, yeah. So in order to do that, we're going to have to shut this thing down. And in order for us to shut it down, we're going to have to play some music.
You want some music to get us
I
out
think
of
we're
here?
going to need a little outro. And Troy wants to take this one. Go for it, man.
Hit it.
All right. Thanks for listening to Hardheaded. Please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening to us. And if you want to watch us on live in person, check us out on YouTube and Rumble. Don't forget to leave your comments, your favorite top threes, and we'll see you next week.
Nice job.
I'm so glad that you do it and I don't. We'd still be going. Kind of like we are right now.
Kill it.